Hi, my name is Maria Lopez, and today we will be talking about Saxton's expressive argument, and that is what my presentation will entail. So we have the agenda here. This is going to show you what we're going to kind of go through on the slides. We have the introduction. We're going to talk about what is at stake. What is the point of me talking about this? Why do I even care about this topic? And oops. And then we're going to see what Saxton says, what's her argument, and then we're going to be sharing a different point of view. So on here, you will see a few terms that I'll briefly go over. We have prenatal diagnosing, which is short for PND. We have people with disabilities, which is short for PWD. We have ableist, which is the tendency to regard people with a disability as incomplete, diminished, or damaged, and to measure the quality of life with a disability against a non-disabled standard. We have autonomy, which is person's rational capacity for self-governance or self-determination. And we have utilitarian, which is the right action is the one that does the most good possible. And these are some terms that you'll see in today's slide. So what's at stake? While reading Saxton's argument and her opposition to prenatal diagnosing and selective abortion article, she mentioned a lot of great points in her argument and how most people choose to abort after getting a positive PND to a PWD, and how the medical model needs to be updated and the views change. And she provides some very, again, very great points to that. But my goal today is to provide a counter argument to the expressive statement, particularly the statement, some people want babies, have prenatal diagnosing, and then abort due to a disability diagnosis. We will discuss Harris's counter argument to that and see the different reason why people abort and how there may be other applications, problems, and messiness when it comes to this particular statement. So here you'll see the full expressivist statement, and the argument states the following: that some people want babies, have prenatal diagnosing, and then abort due to a disability diagnosis, which is the one we'll be concentrating on today. If such people want babies, generally, then they must abort because they don't want this particular baby. If they don't want this particular baby, it must be because of a disability. If it is because of a disability, they must devalue people with disabilities and think that people with disabilities are burdensome. Therefore, people in premise one express the message that they devalue PWDs by their actions. The expression undermines the moral equality of PWDs. PWDs are people deserving respect, equal opportunity, and fair treatment. Therefore, the message expressed by people in number one contribute to discrimination against people with disabilities, and this is morally problematic. All right, so we're going to kind of talk about another view, and I'm going to touch on a few points of maybe why there may be a little bit of moral messiness to it and other counter arguments as to why maybe that statement isn't just so cut and dry. So you'll see this quote here that was included in Saxton's article. And it's a quote from Irving Zola. And it says, medicine is becoming the new repository of truth, the place where absolute and final judgment are made by supposedly morally neutral and objective experts. And these judgments are made not in the name of virtue and legitimacy, but in the name of health. And my argument to that is, so what? Isn't that what the doctor's duty is? Isn't that why they went to school for? Isn't that why they spent all this money going to school for many of their years? It is the doctor's duty and to have, it is a doctor's duty, and everything a doctor does is for the health of the patient as well as the parental autonomy. Their judgment is to provide the best prenatal care to a parent and provide information. I don't see how they could be biased in their own views as what should be done. And if a doctor is biased, then I don't think they're doing their duty as a doctor. The doctor is there to provide information and advise what options they have, as well as to counsel the patient. Harris also says that it's a job's parents, to which he actually counter argues a lot of what Saxton says. So he's saying that it's a parent's job to make sure their child is happy and healthy as possible. Is letting a child with a disability be born also morally wrong? According to a utilitarian, isn't a disability also a harm? Wouldn't you be causing harm and want to avoid that? Now, I know that they're both utilitarians and they believe doing the right thing, but also have different views on what that right thing is. Saxton's view is you're doing the right for a disability person and maybe changing the social views of that. As far as Harris is concerned, is that, you know, having a child with a disability is harm. You're harming your child if you're choosing for that child to be born, and it is your job as a parent to provide the most happiest and healthiest home you can. Now, the last one we're going to be talking about is if we remove all the disability talk and the P&Ds, we also now have the concerns of should you even be procreating? There is overpopulation in the world, the dwindling of our resources, there is pandemics happening, there is racism, there's social injustices in our current society. So procreation can be seen as even worrisome in our political state currently. So would having a baby with a disability and aborting it maybe not the only reason to do it, but you're also that parent or parents may be choosing to do that because of our current political state. If our resources are being limited, can you guarantee that you're going to be able to provide the best resource for your child? What if you're a person of color as well as have somebody with a disability? You kind of have a double standard happening there. You know, there's a lot of racism that we've been seeing around the world, as well as injustices to the disability world. So now you have a child who may not, as much as you would like, not live the greatest life they can just because of social injustices in general, not necessarily because of the medical views. So maybe a parent chooses to abort due to the disability, not due to the disability, but due to the climate of our world. So what does that mean for the child to have to possibly face a lack of resources and not have them live up to their full potential? In that case, are you also causing harm to the child? And wouldn't, again, you want to provide the best possible life for a child that you can. And these are some of my counter arguments based on some of the information that we have had from our slides. And I think that a lot of them bring up a good point as to the moral messiness when it comes to prenatal diagnosing, and the reason most people abort is due to people with disabilities and their discrimination against people with disabilities. I think that may be a component to it, but there could be a lot of other options and maybe not solely the whole reason, and therefore leading to maybe that parent not being opposed to a person with disabilities. Thank you for listening.